Hey everyone, DFA here, welcome back to the channel. And that's actually kind of interesting, a German DD that behaves like a Japanese one. Yeah, unfortunately it is the second ship in my series of ships I regret buying. It is the Z44. I was actually not planning to address this one right away, but since in the shipyard we might as well talk about it, right? So let us take a look at the statistics of that thing to figure out what is good and what is not so great about it. And here we have it, between the 46 and the ZF6, the other German destroyers at tier 9. And yeah, it's actually pretty comparable. It's actually sitting in the middle. 46 has 1 stroke, ZF6 has 3, this one gets 2, but this one gets a torpedo reload. That's interesting. The other features are pretty much the same. HP comparable, concealment comparable, maneuverability comparable. It's pretty average actually. The guns, that's where it starts to feel a little bit different, because this one's only get 5 guns with the reload of 4.5 seconds. That's actually the same guns pretty much as the tier 7 German destroyers. Those guns are amazing at tier 7. At tier 9, not so much. The HE is non-existent, but you knew that already, being a German ship, and the AP is actually pretty average, certainly inferior to the Kitakaze and the 46 and the Adriatico. So this thing, it's not really a gunboat. Yeah, and keep in mind the ZF6 has a similar DPM, but it gets a rapid reload tree, so you're gonna get deleted by these things, no questions asked. In terms of torpedoes, you get the same torpedoes as the 46, but you're getting 10 of them, so that's giving you a better DPM, 45,000, and a good burst damage with the torpedo reload. So the range is also a little bit higher at 10 kilometers, so you're not going to use that a lot because it's a German DD. German torpedoes, they're not amazing. The flooding chance is actually pretty low indeed. And in terms of raw burst damage, it's on par with the Kitakaze, but certainly inferior to the Black Fletcher. And finally, AA, it's non-existent, but we knew that already. So yeah, here's the gameplay of the 44 with the Iron Cross camo. To be fair, I did not pay the full tier 9/tier 10 price for that thing. I got it half, or I would say half the price at an event a couple of years ago, along with the camo. And yeah, still leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Let's discuss why. So essentially, you've seen that thing on the stats sheet. It's not really great as a gunboat. It's pretty average actually. And keep in mind, this is a tier 9 matchup. So sorry, it's a tier 8 matchup. So it's pretty much an ideal situation for the Z44. Obviously, if you meet another German DD at tier 9 or at tier 10, you'd better run for your life. And then you pretty much have to know which targets you can actually engage with that thing. And yeah, it kind of compensates for that by having some kind of a 1 torpedo reload, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So in terms of maneuverability, it's pretty average, but that's pretty much the same as with the other German destroyers. And yeah, you see me being extremely careful there, because I know that I cannot be as aggressive as I would be in a 46. Luckily, I do happen to have the bot Yukomo in front of me, and it's a target that I engage absolutely no problem. If it was a real player behind the Tsugumo, I will be a lot more cautious, because essentially I would be trading with him and I'm not sure I would actually come out on top. So I would be losing way too many hit points to be worth it actually. So yeah, you kind of have to remind yourselves of which targets you can engage, and you cannot engage all the time. Look, there is a kind of targets that you can actually deal with pretty efficiently, and those are those tier 8 battleships. There is a Richelieu right in front of me, and you see me accelerating towards it. You see that the gun's performance, it's really not great, and the accuracy, it's not excellent. So I'm thinking about YOLOing that Richelieu. Unfortunately, the black Iowa appears right next to it, so that's the end of my YOLO, I'm afraid. But you know what? I think that thing is actually going to hit the island. He's watched a couple of videos from me, so now it tends to hit islands all the time in the game. And I'm shooting my torpedoes. I did the 15 of them. I do take a pretty big salvo, but that's alright. I'm going to disengage right away. And yeah, that's kind of, you know, it's pretty much also another issue with that ship. We're not going to put the 15 torpedoes on target, because those are German torpedoes. They're not super quick. But yeah, even if we had hit the 15 torpedoes, you see this ship still has a pretty big amounts of HP. So it's only after a second salvo of torpedoes that is going to go down from the Black Benson. So yeah, as a torpedo boat, it's actually pretty, yeah, it's also pretty average actually, because German DDs, they're not great at shooting torpedoes, let's face it. Quite a lot, you really have to get very close to make the best use of your torpedo reloads, because if you fire it at your maximum range close to 10 kilometers, yeah, by the time they make it to the target, it is very likely to miss. So getting those 15 torpedoes on target with the burst, it's kind of very complicated with that thing. And again, yeah, you kind of see me here avoiding battles I cannot win, so I'm really staying away from that Jutland and that Kitakaze, because I'm already pretty low on hit points and I'm using one of my 2 smoke screens to really get better. We're going to get a couple of torpedoes on that Richelieu, so again, that's pretty cool, but you know, we've shot 10 and we've only gotten 6 on target. That's going to happen all the time with that thing. It's really difficult to make it work consistently from a torpedoes perspective, but still we're actually doing pretty good in that battle, 74,000. So yeah, it's not, let me get this straight, it's not an awful ship. It can actually perform pretty well with the right matchup, and we do have a pretty decent matchup here. Again, I would never be engaging that Fletcher in a 1 versus 1, but since it's busy with that Izumo, I know that I have a couple of free shots at him. And yeah, you kind of see the issue with the gun DPM there. It's going to take me forever to actually hurt that Fletcher, and yeah. Yeah, and I cannot prevent him from damaging the Izumo or to take him down actually. So yeah, it's not looking that great for the moment. 250 to 416, and we are 1 base down. And as long as that Jutland is there and the Kitagaze is on the other side, there is not much I can do, I'm afraid. I am not in a 46 or in a ZF6, so I really have to watch out and pick my battles very carefully. When it comes to other DD, luckily the battleship gets a pretty good salvo on that Jutland, and there you go, the main obstacle for me is actually gone, and I can keep farming that Fletcher, and hopefully this time I can actually take him down. So yeah, it takes a bit of time, but there you go. Yeah, you see that the gun performance, it's really not amazing on this one, so it can be a little bit frustrating, but yeah, we finally take him down, so yeah. And so 1 minute left in the battle, time to debrief the 44. Is it a fun ship? Well, honestly, it can be a little bit annoying. If you were expecting a German gunboat, this is not that. But you do get a fair amount of fun by YOLOing enemy ships, and especially enemy battleships. So yeah, it can have those funny moments and those frustrating moments as well. But overall, yeah, you'll remember your YOLOs with that thing. Is it beginner friendly? It's actually fairly beginner friendly. Yeah, you kind of have to keep in mind the targets that you can engage or not, but still, I mean, it doesn't really do anything bad. It's also not exceptional at anything, and you get 2 smokes, so you're sonar, so you can stay along provided you do not know anything stupid. Is it free to play friendly? It actually is. Yeah, okay, it's a premium, but still, concretely, if you get it in the shipyard, you don't really need to. You can put your German commanders on it. The skill set is basically the same, and essentially, yeah, you don't really need the historical camo to be honest. It's good enough like that. So I'm only going to give it 2 stars and a half, because actually, what actually lets it down for me is that, yeah, it's actually the choice of commanders. It ends up underperforming as a gunboat, because that's what German commanders are actually made for, and as a torpedo boat, yeah, it's not really there as well, because unlike the American and the Japanese Kitakaze, or the Black Fletcher, sorry, the American Black Fletcher, you're only getting 1 torpedo reload, and you do not have a single dedicated torpedo boat commander to improve that. So once you've shot it, it's pretty much over for the rest of the battle, and yeah, you're paying a pretty big price in terms of gun performance for that gimmick. Yes, honestly, you're much better off putting a good commander on the Japanese Kitakaze or the American Black Fletcher, or simply playing the Z46 and the Z52, or putting your money on the Z42 at tier 10, because honestly, those are much better than that thing. And that's kind of why I regret buying it. I'm not playing it, and I'm playing my 46, my 52, and my Z42 instead. So there you go, it's in the shipyard at the moment. Again, not an awful ship, but yeah, why would you pay for it? That's kind of my question, actually. So yeah, there you go, that's the end of the review. I hope you've enjoyed it, learned a couple of interesting things. Stay safe, take care. That was DFA signing out. Bye bye.